you so much for having me. This is a wonderful space. I do follow you guys a little bit on social media. I haven't quite made those 5 a.m. sessions yet, but I think it's laudable to have such a space, quite frankly, where we can all come together regardless of where we are in life to share. It is so critical nowadays to really have these spaces, and congratulations for being able to create it, especially in these times. In terms of a talk, I will focus, of course, on my experience. And what I was told was the audience, most of them are sort of in the beginning to middle part of their careers. So what I would focus on is looking back on my own experience and some of the learnings. You called it the tips, the climbing tips, something similar, something that I have learned that I think is valuable, and share with you and see if that resonates with you. I have 3 points. The first one that I learned when I was beginning my career, actually, next door in South Sudan, not Rumbek, Nial, we started with Nial, is that no one person anywhere has the full answer to whatever big question you're trying to solve, whatever big problem you're trying to solve. No one person has the answer. And I learned it in an important way, but not in a huge way. So, story. Context was, this was the year 2000. It's Operation Lifeline Sudan, which was created to support the Barghazal famine that had happened in Sudan. These were the days of the North-South conflict in Sudan. Security environment is extremely volatile. In fact, I was recruited as a junior officer, quite frankly, P2, but as a head of office for Nial. But we're all based in Lokichogio because Nial is unsafe. I had a small team of about 5 people, and we spent most of our time in Loki, and we flew back and forth to Nial to support with some humanitarian services there. So one happy day, we fly to Nial. It's our turn to go and spend some time there. We're under a tree. It's me and 5 team members. And also we had another 8 colleagues who had come from Kenya, where head office was. And we're all together in Nial, and we're under a tree, and we're chatting. We've just arrived. And of course, before we go, UN security clears the place, says it's okay for you to be there now. Maybe about 40-something minutes in, we hear gunshots. And you're like, And then we realize the gunshots are coming from 2 sides. So it was Peter Parr and Peter Gadet, the warlords of the time, who were at it, and we were somewhat in the middle. We had a plan, and the plan was you take your quick run bag, 15 kgs, you go to the airboats, which was a few minutes away, and you go to another island and you wait for security advice, which is what we did. We get all together, the 8 plus 5 or something like that. We run, we get to the boats, and we realize we're missing one of the colleagues, civil society colleagues that were supposed to be with us. I'm the leader, relatively junior leader. I'm the leader of the team. You get there and you're like, you wait. I'm thinking about these 8 plus 5 people versus the 1. And about 15 minutes in, I took the decision, we're leaving the 1 and we're going. But it was a decision that I took without really sharing with my colleagues. I just kind of took the decision, we're going. We went, it was fair enough. We got to the other island. The airboat operator was able to go back and pick up the 1, so no harm done. That night, we're lucky, we're sleeping rough, but you know, there's some people on this island, we get some fish, it's not so bad. You realize our Nairobi colleagues, this is not their reality. They didn't sign up for this. They were coming for some assessment, some time with the team. Anxiety is high, fear is high. And so I'm sitting here and I'm really feeling concerned. We talk with UN security, of course. The airboat man says, but you know, there's another island not too far from here. We can load them all on a boat and go. And I think, okay, this is a good idea. Again, I don't really share with the team. I'm just concerned that I have these fearful, anxious people with me who did not sign up for this. I need to get them out. So the next morning, decision is validated by UN security, so my back is covered. So we load them up on a boat on first light, more or less 6:30, 7 a.m., and send them off. About 4 or 5 of us remain behind. Among those 4 or 5, these are the hardy ones who can take this, So we stay behind. We wait for negotiations to happen. A few hours in, maybe around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we're told, okay, the violence has been stayed. They're not fighting. There's a little window. You guys walk back and you will be taken to Lokichogyo. So we walk back 6 hours, 7 hours in swamp. We get there and we ask what happened to our colleagues who got on the boat. They hadn't gotten to the island they were supposed to have gotten to 2 hours later. And as a young lady, the guilt I felt that the anxious ones, the fearful ones, the ones who are supposed to get to safety quickly are the ones who are experiencing the most stress at this point. And for me, the lesson there was, I should have shared more. If I was taking in such a situation today, I would take as much time as I needed on the front end to actually canvass views and opinions from those around me. I should have shared more. In the end, nobody died. Nobody was seriously injured. We all needed some psych counseling and things, but it was a good lesson. No one person anywhere really has the full answer to whatever it is that we want to do. And that counts for the big stuff, that counts for the small stuff, sharing more. So that's my number 1 tip. The second one is the care and growth model. So by now, I've been in UNICEF for a few years. I'm P4 now, if you know anything about the UN system. I get tapped on the shoulder of, you have potential. And I go with other people who have potential in the organization to South Africa, where we get a leadership training. It was amazing. But one of the things I took from there was, the care and growth model, which is written by some man who I don't think is particularly famous, Etsko Shutema. I never really learned his name. But one, it gave us a sense of, okay, so what is personal excellence? What is team excellence? What is organizational excellence? What is leadership excellence? And just that introduction was so useful to me in terms of opening my mind. But I didn't really stick on that. For me, it was just, okay, looking at my organization and how I'd grown up in it, trying to validate whether care and growth really does make the difference. I had many bosses, and some of those, there was a model back, 20 years ago, that was all about being tough and firm and making people cry, it seemed like. And I had one in New York who used to make a lot of people cry. My office at the time was not too far from the bathrooms. So you could see all these demoralized people going, and you knew that they were crying in the bathroom because a manager had said horrible things to them. And I remember thinking, care is not being shown here. And of course, when people are crying, they're stressed. When people are stressed, they cannot do their best, no matter what it is. On a small aside, do you know that you have about 3 parts to your brain? You have this stuff that does all the automatic things in your body happening now that nobody is aware of. Hormones are being released, things are happening. You're not aware of it. It's automatic. It just happens. You have the bit that deals with processing emotions, the limbic system. And then you have this, the prefrontal cortex, which is where magic happens for human beings. Because this is the part that allows you to be creative. This is the part that allows you to imagine things that you have never physically experienced. Yeah? This part. But when you're stressed, you don't use this part. You don't access this part of your brain. The part that does magic, you cannot access it if you're stressed. The automatic bit and the emotional bit, you access really easily. So you have a lot of automatic reactions when you're stressed, but you can't think in the most creative ways possible. So there I was watching this and thinking, okay, all these people are crying in bathrooms. Clearly, they're not giving their best. So care was not being demonstrated. And then on the growth side, I remember how I felt when I felt a manager was trying to grow me, which is you really feel, you feel good about it, so to speak. And one of the growths I got was when somebody tapped me, and I reached out to them and said, I need some advice. What do you think I should do? How? And they said, you should think about what your leadership style will be. Start crafting your leadership style. And that was great. But in my experience till this point is you need the two. A care and a growth model. We all need to help care for those around us. We all need to help grow those around us. And especially if you have a managerial responsibility, this is like your top job. Of course, there's the visioning, there's the strategic stuff, there's all of that. But your number one job is to care for and grow the people in your team. If you do those two things, magic will happen. You might not be able to keep these people, which is fair enough. They grow, maybe they outgrow where they are. That's fine. Grow them and send them to the world. But caring and growing your people is important. And slightly different things also, because you're caring for people. Sometimes growing people requires you to be a little bit tough with them, push them out of their comfort zones, pull them, push them, encourage them. So the growth part is not just about being soft, but it's important to do the two. You have to care for people genuinely, and you also have to grow them. So that's my second tip. Especially if you're a manager, please, 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 this is your number one job. And then the third one, of course, I'm getting a little bit older in life now. You mentioned how many years of experience I have. I'm now in my 50s, and I think it's similar to Find Your Mountain that you talked about. The way I phrase this is, what problem is worth your life? There are lots of problems in life. And in fact, also something I am learning, I used to be one of those people who didn't want problems. You minimize the problem. Now, quite frankly, I'm grateful for my problems. You just have to put them in the right context. Yeah, you have problems with your family. Well, at least you have a family. Many people don't have families. You have this kind of, put it in a context. Don't run away from your problems. Welcome your problems. But even more important is try to define the problem that is really worth your life. So what is that big thing that you're here to do? I was not one of those people who knew, at 22, exactly what they were meant to do in this world. I wasn't one of those people. I think you kind of discover it along the way. But I think it's important to start having that notion of, okay, so what would I want to do? The contribution, the purpose. Because another truism is it all goes by so quickly. It goes by extremely quickly. I am acutely aware that I have passed the halfway point of my life. Right? I'm 52. Chances are, I'm planning to go to 90, but chances are 104 is unlikely to find me here. It goes by really quickly. So the sooner you can sort of define that, the better. The more time you have to actually do the things that you think you're here to do. Along those lines, I think that's where the body comes in. We experience life through the five senses. If you think about it, the only way we experience life in this material plane where we can touch things is through our five senses. We see it, we smell it, we hear it, we taste it. What's the other one? We touch it. So that's how we experience life. And of course, this body is extremely important in that process. It's our tool for experiencing life, right? But I hope we all agree already that we're more than this body. We're something else. We're bigger. than this body. This body is just a tool that allows us to experience life in this plane and to do the things that we're meant to do, that special purpose that you have. So it is in that line where I know I am not fully there yet. I'm working on it. We have to take care of this body. You have to take care of your body. If you don't take care of your body, you're cutting yourself short in terms of, the dreams you have or the contributions you want to make in life completely. So you need to, and it's not obvious to know how to take care of the body. It's not obvious. We don't know. We're filled with, there's so many myths out there. Most of us don't have any idea how to eat well anymore. I don't think I'm the only one struggling. I think it's many. Most of us don't have a sense of how to maintain our mental health. A lot of us are struggling. But you have to be motivated to learn how to take care of this body, because it is your number one instrument. Is too small a word, but it's the vehicle that you have to kind of be in this world and enjoy this world, and also to solve that big problem that you are dedicating your life to. Yeah? So those are my 3 tips for now. No one person anywhere has the full picture, whatever that is. Be the person that helps everybody come and deliver their little piece so that together we can make a sense of what that big picture is. And it takes a particular way of being to encourage others to show their pieces, right? If you're making people cry, they're not bringing their pieces. They're not going to show you their pieces. And if they don't show you their pieces, we don't get a sense of unveiling what that bigger picture is. So be that person. Yeah? No one person knows everything. And on the second one, the care and growth model, care for and grow those around you. If you are a manager, a leader, that is your number one job. Care and grow others. Figure out the ways of caring and growing others. And last but not least, you're more than this body. This body is extremely important. You're more than this body. Figure out what problem is worth your life. Figure it out. Which problem is worth your life, the big problem? Because there are lots of problems. If you're not deliberate about the big problem, you get consumed by the small problems. And of course, we all have to deal with problems. That is life. And were you the one who mentioned that we should welcome the circumstances? Indeed, welcome your problems. They are your problems. Welcome them. Put them within a context that empowers you to deal with them. Welcome them. But if you're not deliberate about the big problem that you want to dedicate yourself to, then you get consumed by the small problems, which are not really worth your time, Gossiping, is that really worth your time? I don't know. What are the small problems but you can easily see how the small problems can consume your time if you don't focus on a bigger problem where you constantly take yourself towards. Yeah? So those are my 3 tips. I hope they're helpful to you. There was a concept, I don't know when you were talking, I thought about it, but it's sort of learning to dance with life. You kind of dance with life. Life happens, and part of your job is to kind of embrace it and dance with it with a sense of what is your problem that you want to fix, and keeping your gaze there. Yeah? So that's all I came with, my 3 points.